Joining me next on the nightly show here on Cork Live TV at the Kia Garage on the Old Mallow Road is a gentleman who has caused quite a stir recently and in the last 10 years in the Cork entertainment and music industry. You're very welcome to the show, Paul Woodage.
Thank you for having me, thank you.
You're very welcome. So you're after releasing a book, you're after publishing a book.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Now, tell me a little bit. Let's just start a little bit with, first of all, the foreword. It was Mark McLelland wrote the foreword.
Mark McLelland, my friend, yeah.
And what struck me was one thing that he said about you. He said, this guy could either go far or get himself in a lot of trouble.
I've done both, I think, haven't I?
Yeah, you have a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the Cork music industry.
Well, I've been managing bands now for about a decade. I started off booking one-piece and two-piece acts into bars. It transcended. I started managing bands, then forming bands, and then I went to weddings, the functions, the corporate side of things, and that's where I am right now today. So it's gone kind of full circle really from what it started out as.
Yeah.
And it was Mark that gave me the chance. Mark was given a chance to book acts into pubs. It wasn't really what he wanted to do. He wanted to play music. So he came to me with this concept saying, look, music, Paul, book bands into bars. And I said, what do I know about music? And that's the title of the book. Yeah. So
I suppose just to give you an idea, Mark McLelland was actually, he was a music journalist with the Evening Echo at the time.
Mark was a guy I grew up with from school. He moved to Cork. He's a bass player and he worked for the Echo for a number of years. And now he's in London. So we've known each other since we were 4 or 5 year olds kids. So we grew up together. So he's a very good friend of mine. Yeah.
Now, the book, I read the book last night. Very compelling read. And I heard you then, you were on local radio today being interviewed about the same book. It's a little bit, there's a few names mentioned.
There's a lot of names mentioned.
A lot of names mentioned in it, yeah. And I suppose it was put to you today that possibly that you should not have mentioned a lot of those names.
Well,
how do you feel about it?
Yeah, like I said before, the only way I could write this book is to write it the way I wrote it, to say everything like it is. The book is my story. It's my experiences, my opinions, it's my story. So the only way I could write the book, Fiona, is the way I wrote it. Honest, upfront, blunt, straight to the point, that is me. I couldn't have done it any other way. So I've been true to myself and wrote the book how I've seen it. So everything in there is, again, my opinion and my experiences, and that's how it's gone, and I'm happy with it, really am.
Yeah. Now, you look, I mean, the industry that you work in, you do have to have thick skin anyway. The conversation that you had on air today and the general reaction in your book as well. You mentioned in your introduction that there was a bit of a fracas with some of the weddings, a couple of the weddings. There was a reaction on one of the local radio shows.
Yes. In
2011.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
How did all of that make you feel?
It was unfortunate because the incident that happened, it wasn't a big deal. It was about a DJ not turning up. And the incident with the bride in question, it went away quite quickly. But then a lot of people all of a sudden contacted the radio station, jumped on the bandwagon, and basically it was a hysteria of people that I had either let go, chose not to work with, and it wasn't so much them, it was all their friends and family, you know, that don't even know me, never met me before, and it was basically a witch hunt. And it was all aboard the bandwagon, and I was ridiculed, harassed for months over that, and it was tough. It was tough because, again, these are people that didn't actually know me personally. They've met me and never spoken to me, just forming an opinion upon what they've heard, and it was unfair. And it was, at a time, it was very tough. It was. I'm away from home, and I had to deal with a lot of stuff that I didn't think was fair. Now, yeah, that was a tough time. Looking back, it was, and that was tough to write about as well. Yeah.
You actually mentioned in your book that you had to deal quite a lot with your mental health, and it probably caused you a bit of depression.
Yeah, I got quite low. I got really low, and it was a tough time. For anybody that's had depression, it's tough. It really is. And I felt so alone. I did. I mean, my friends and family were, even though I've got a lot of friends over here in Cork, I have, but it was tough because I felt isolated, and I moved to a place in the countryside where I did it for the business, more for me, to have a large place that I could have the bands rehearse, in a place where they could rehearse without the neighbours. And by doing that, I isolated myself, and I got into a spiral, and I was getting a lot of flack from people who, again, didn't know me, never met me before, and it was a tough time, and I reached rock bottom. I sank right into rock bottom, and I tried to climb out of it, and I couldn't, and in the end I had to go back home for a year just to get my head sorted out, because it was that bad. I was just lower than I could have been. It was just tough. Even thinking about it, it's how I got out of that now. It was tough, but yeah, I was drinking stupid amounts, and I was thinking of reasons why to live rather than, you know, who's going to miss me? Who's going to miss me? And I couldn't think of many people. So, but no, I went back home for a year, and I got myself sorted out, and I came back, and yeah, and it was better, you know.
And it's hard as well when you're seeing like a negative reaction towards you on social media. Like it's written down there, the negativity towards you.
There's a lot of hatred. Again, like I said, it's annoying because these are people largely, like I said before downstairs to you. I love Cork. I live here by choice. Nobody's going to come to me and say, live in Cork, right? I live here by choice. I've got a lot of friends here. I've probably got more friends here now than back home. I've been over here 16, 17 years. I love the industry I'm in. I love my job. I love the company. I think the talent in Cork is immense. I think that 99% of the people within the business are genuinely hard-working, lovely people. It's that 1% that spoil it, and that 1%, it's all their friends and family, and people they know and don't even know me, and that's what I find hard, because like a friend said to me today on the phone, when you think of English football fans, what do you think? Hooligans. But in fact, it's only probably 1 in like 500 English football fans are a hooligan. That's 0.2%. But they shout the loudest. You don't hear about the other 499. You hear about that one idiot who gets arrested. So for me, that was a problem. It was the 1% and all their friends and family. But I see comments on Facebook and social media. They don't even know me. Never met me, never spoke to me, couldn't even, pass me in the street, wouldn't know me. And it's hurtful because, again, I'm getting so much hate from people who never met me in life, and that's what I find hard to take. You know, I understand if I fire somebody or I chose not to work with them, they're disdain towards me. I get that. But it's this constant barrage of hate and disdain, and it's every single day I wake up and I got a message from a friend before I came out tonight. Have you seen this, Paul? I was like, oh, what now? It's like something else every day, and it's just constant. I'm just a normal guy trying to like speak my mind, be honest, trying to run a business in an industry where it's tough, it's high pressure, and I just want to get on and do my job, and I want to be as good as I can. But on a level playing field, I think I'm as good as anyone. But sometimes it is trying to like push custard up with a fork, up a hill with a fork. It feels like that sometimes. It's tough.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, you must really love Cork if you keep
course
coming back to it, because you could do your job anywhere. You could start again.
I did it for a year. I could do it on the moon if they had an internet connection. I did it for a year back home, and it wasn't obviously easy because I had to be done on the spot.
Yeah.
But I could do it from back home, where it's largely internet and phone based. You know, I have to be at the gigs sometimes. I want to keep an eye on the bands. But yeah, I chose to come back to Cork. Yeah. And I chose a time when I felt I was ready to come back to Cork, mentally ready. Because I knew that I was going to get it all over again, and I'm back, and within a week it all resurfaced and that. And I went downhill again, and it got really, really bad, and then I was on the medication. And then it got to March this year, and I woke up and I thought, that's it, I'm not taking these meds anymore. I'll just go off them. I'll just go off them, cold turkey. It'll be tough, it's probably quite stupid, and unadvised against doctor's orders, but I'm going to stop taking them. And the first week or two were hell, absolute hell. But then I knew that if I can get through the first 2-3 weeks, I could beat that. And it's now been 6 months, and yeah, I have up and down days, and publishing a book where I'm branding everybody in it probably isn't the best therapy for me, but I've done it, you know. And I've received 50 times that adversity in the last 6 years on social media and in person, and all of a sudden I put it back out and I publish it. I go, you know what, you've had your turn, bang, there's a book, there's what I've got to say. You've had your say for the last 6, 7 years, okay, there's my say. And all of a sudden it's, whoa, you can't say that. Well, you can't say that. Well, you've said 10 times, 50 times worse to me. I just put it in the book and I've said, bang, and I put everything about that's happened to me that's bad.
Yeah.
And that has made me kind of like, that's...
But there's there's a difference between anonymous social media comments, nasty though they are, and I read them, some of them are very nasty, and actually publishing your own book and putting your name on it. Yeah. Like that's quite a brave move.
It is, because basically that book, as well as naming and shaming, well, not naming and shaming, let's say things that have happened, the real experiences and my opinions on the experience. But
there is a bit of naming and shaming in it, in
there's
fairness.
a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I've said like things that are personal to me, like my childhood, my depression. So I've said, look, you know what? There it all. It's all there. I've laid it all out, okay? It's all there to read. Anyone can read it. Do your best. What else have you got? What else can you throw at me? Because it's all there. I've written it for you. Because
you had a hard time with your dad as well.
Yeah, my dad was very, very abusive, and I was incredibly abused as a child physically, and it was tough from a young age until 15. So that was a tough childhood. It really, really was. But I'd say about 5 or 6 people in Cork knew that, and now I've written a book and put it in there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put it all out there. So what else have you got? Throw it at me. I've said everything that you could hit me with. That's the deepest thing personal to me. So you now know about it. So there you go. If you want to use that against me, fine. But I put it out there in the book, so I'm not bothered. You know?
Yeah. There was one part of the book that amused me. Yeah. And it amused me particularly because a long time ago I went out with a guy from Yorkshire, and when I went over to England, over to Yorkshire to visit him, nobody could understand what I was saying. And you speak about your first experience. You're working in a car garage.
Oh, yes.
Not this one. And some guy came over talking to you at your lunch break, and you had not a clue what he was saying, and you said you didn't speak Gaelic.
I didn't speak Gaelic. I think, in Cork. I got to Cork, and within a week I got this job. So it was like I was living in Cork 10 days, and he come up to me and started going, I said, I'm sorry, I don't speak Irish or Gaelic. And the guy's going, it's English, Paul. I said, what? Is it? What's he saying? I haven't a clue. And the Cork accent, it's fine now, I get it now. It took me like maybe a couple of months to get used to it, and even the colloquialisms and that kind of thing, but it's fine now, it's a very clear accent. But at the time, never a clue. And I'm sure he felt the same, because I've got a kind of like thick Wellington accent, which is a mixture of Manchester, Liverpool, a bit of Lancashire. So I have to dull it down sometimes, like today. And when I'm on the phone.
Did you dull it down? Did you?
Yeah. Right. I mean, when I come back from being back home, my friends, in particular Dave and Mary, good friends of mine, they always say, we know you've been away, because they can't understand a word I'm saying for the first like 2 or 3 days when I go back to England. So when I'm on the phone to my brother, for example, or my family or friends, but I kind of like have to dull it down, because it didn't go away. I moved here when I was 27, so I kind of like developed the accent at that point. So it wouldn't dissipate. It was going to be there. And even when I go back to Wellington, there's certain things I say, like my sister-in-law says, "Oh, you sound a bit Irish there." And I said, "Well, I'm going to pick up phrases like grand boy, and I'm going to pick up phrases." But yeah, the accent, I have to just be wary that people, if I do speak quite fast. I'm going slow today for this interview, slower than what I normally would.
So I can understand you.
But yeah, when I first come over, I'm sure the Irish people had a problem with my accent as much as I had with theirs. Yeah. Maybe they still do, I don't know. But it's working okay. So.
Yeah, well look, I can understand you, so you're all good.
Yeah, thank
you. Now, just a final question for you. That would be, you've written down all of your thoughts in a book, but now we're in front of a camera.
Yep.
Would you like to put out a message right now? And what would you say to people out there? Just the one thing that you'd like to say in your defence, like to sum up everything that's happened.
I
over
would
the last
like to say
years.
on film, I live here in Cork by choice. I love this country. I love the city. I've got a lot of good friends in this place, and I love the industry I'm in. I love my bands. I love people I work with. To those people who don't know me, please read the book, understand what I'm trying to say. It's called What Do I Know About Music? It's on Facebook. Order it from Amazon. It's a good read. You'll enjoy it, and it explains why I do and say some things I do. So please, if you don't know me and you said bad things about me, read the book first. If you still hate me after that, fine. But please read the book.
Actually, you just reminded me of one more question. The title of your book, What Do I Know
What
About
do I know
Music?
about music? Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you know something about music at this point, Paul.
I know no. I've learned a lot. When Mark came to me with a concept, I didn't. So we thought that was quite funny. The name of the book was What Do I Know About Music? Because I didn't. I didn't. Despite the fact my grandfather was actually a trumpet player in the BBC Symphony Orchestra, which is quite big at the time. They used to go in all around the world playing in this orchestra. It's quite renowned. But me personally, I just knew what I knew. I loved the Stone Roses growing up and Oasis. I love music, but it wasn't my passion. I enjoyed music like anybody else. So I knew nothing about the scene, the industry, and I've learned a lot since then. And I now know what sounds good, what sounds bad, what sounds. I've auditioned bands and musicians, but I'm not a musician. I'm not a singer. I don't claim to be, although sometimes I do think I'm a singer. But people tell me
In the
not.
shower.
I'm all right. Look, I'm all right for a pub karaoke, but I'm not a singer. But look, I don't claim to be a singer. I don't claim to be a musician. I am a band manager. I'm a businessman. I'm good at what I do, and if I'm left to do it, I do it very, very well. And if I'm not, then it's tough, and it is tough because I'm human. I'm just a guy living in Ireland who's forged the business somewhat fortuitously out of this opportunity I got given by Mark, and I'm doing okay with it. And people, you know, I've formed some good bands and I've booked a lot of good acts, and I'll continue to do so. I just want those people out there that have given me a hard time just to try and understand who I am as a person, read the book, and then form an opinion on who I am, not what other people say about me.
And that book is available on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, yeah. So the Facebook page is What Do I Know About Music? One long word, /Facebook. And then you can order it for paperback, or you can order it for the Kindle, which you can get an app on for the iPad, read it. But it's a captivating read. PJ Coogan said he couldn't speak about it on air. So if PJ Coogan can't talk about it, you know,
there must be
it's
some
like that
stuff
Father's
in it.
episode where you try and ban a film, everyone's to film. It is a good read, and people have said it's a good read, and it does unearth a lot of things about the industry. You'll go, wow. But if you read it, you'll enjoy it, I assure you. So hopefully people will pick it up and have a look at it and find it interesting, and fingers crossed. And
excellent. Paul, thank you so much for coming in
thank you, Fiona,
today.
for your time. Thank you.
As they say in the car industry, drive on.
Nice show. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Thanks
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.